Hello. This week we learning a double portion of the Torah, Parshayot Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Parsha Acharei Mot, translated after the death of, begins by telling us that God spoke to Moshe after the death of Aaron's two sons, Nadav and Avihu, when they came near before God and died. God warns against unauthorized entry into the Holy of Holies and states that only one person, Kohen Gadol, the high priest, may do that, may enter the Holy of Holies, and only once a year on Yom Kippur. And he can enter the innermost chamber of the sanctuary to offer the secret ketoret, the essence, to God. Another feature of the Day of Atonement is the service casting lots over two beautifully looking, exactly the same goats to determine which one should be offered to God and which one should be dispatched to carry off the sins of children of Israel to the wilderness. Parsha Acharei also warns against bringing karbanot, animal or meal offerings, doesn't matter, anywhere else except the temple. It's totally forbidden. And it forbids consumption of blood to Jewish people and details the laws prohibiting incest and other deviant sexual relationships, including homosexuality and all the others. The second parsha of this double portion is Kedoshim, and Kedoshim begins with a statement: "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." And this is followed by dozens of mitzvot, which are divine commandments, through which the Jews sanctify themselves, him or herself, individually and the whole community, and relate to the holiness of God. This includes the prohibition against idolatry, the mitzvah of charity, the principle of equality before the law, so that poor or rich, all equal in front of the law, the laws of Shabbat, sexual morality, honesty in business, so that you must treat your customers fairly and honestly, honor and awe of one's parents, and the secretness of life. Also in Kedoshim is the principle which the great sage Rabbi Akiva called a cardinal principle of Torah, and of which Hillel said, "Love your fellow as yourself." This is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Very important statement. So Parsha Acharei Mot begins with God clearly specifying the rules for the Kohen Gadol when and how he can approach God in the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur to burn the ketoret, the incense. Other words, in that first part of this double portion, we immediately confront the factor of death, tied to realization that our life will end one day and that we are not godly. In contrast, Parsha Kedoshim opens with God proclaiming through Moshe and saying, "You shall be holy, for I, God, am holy." So, we can be holy like the divine? The two contradict each other, or are they? That raises a number of fundamental questions. Question 1. Are we human beings made in the image of God, which the Torah says in Genesis 1:26, it states clearly that man was created in God's image. That's it. We look like God. We don't know actually what God looks like. And second question, if yes, why God has created us in this imperfect world with all our weaknesses, temptations, and limited lifespan? These two portrayals of humanity seem utterly contradictory, but from the depths of these contradictions emerges a much deeper understanding of who we are, why are we on the planet called Earth, and what is the reason or purpose of our lives. And I think these are the most fundamental questions we're all asking ourselves. Yom Kippur, which is a main focus of Parsha Acharei Mot, the first part, forces us to face the absolute truth of our mortality and separation from divinity. The very concept of the annual Day of Atonement exposes us to sobering mirror reflections of us as individuals and the whole community. It reminds us that we quite helplessly can slip into carelessness, corruption, and insensitivity. It separates us further from the divine, all of those sins. We are commanded to fast or practice self-denial on this day, and the humbling hunger reminds us how human and mortal we are during this day. Our physicality demands its own rules. On the other hand, Parsha Kedoshim teaches that despite all our inadequacies, we have the capacity to be holy. Although holiness is difficult for us to conceptualize, to understand, to feel what is really holiness, we can only guess a little bit. Parsha Kedoshim suggests that it has everything to do with righteousness, justice, and generosity. We are commanded to be honest in our dealings, in business, with our clients, with our partners, with our whoever we deal with, on whatever basis. To feed the poor and to treat disempowered people with dignity. Coming on the heels of Parsha Acharei Mot, discussion of Yom Kippur in Parsha Kedoshim suggests that serious introspection or self-evaluation can stimulate ethical and spiritual growth. The inspiring view of humanity in Parsha Kedoshim is not an alternative to the disillusioning view in Parsha Acharei Mot. This pair of paradigms reflects an evolution of our nature and of our potential. We can be potentially capable to embrace both modes of being. The first one is physical presence in this world and active participation in it. And the second is spiritual development and evolution into a stronger global citizens. Yes, we will sin. We will miss the mark, distancing ourselves from the divine. And yet we will always have the opportunity, in fact the duty, to try to rise ourselves above our human flaws. It is a blessing that we read these two portions together every year, for it empowers us to be mindful of our weaknesses, our not so godly tendencies, and our dark places within. And from that darkness, we can actually improve ourselves to seek delight, coming ever closer to holiness. The reason why God has created this imperfect world with imperfect human beings on it is because He wanted to create a partnership between Him and us. Through Torah, He tells us what kind of world He wants us to build together with Him. Hence all the laws of Halakha, Jewish law, which Halakha literal translation is the way. Yes, we are on the road of our life. It is the way. Halakha guides us in day-to-day of the life of every Jew. And Talmud provides an in-depth debates and explanations to Jewish law, to how we should live our lives. Gives us ideas. And that's why sages have been discussing Talmud for centuries. He does not want us to sit on the high mountains, meditating to Him 24/7. He wants us to live our lives, work and procreate in this world, and in process to build a home suitable for Him. But at the same time, He wants humanity, individuals, communities, and whole nations to develop and improve their fundamental understanding of what it really means. This fundamental phrase, love your fellow as yourself. The most important foundation of the Torah, the Bible, and it absolutely applicable to every woman, man, child, and elderly on this planet. And by the way, I would like to mention this before I finish. Until humanity, and most of all our presidents, prime ministers, kings and queens, dictators and liberal Democrats, Republicans, national or nationalistic parties, communists and fascists, warlords and spiritual leaders of all religions and branches of them. Until all of those will not understand and really practically implement the fundamental concept of this phrase, love your fellow as yourself, really, I can tell you, COVID-19 will not go away from this planet, regardless of vaccines, their efficacy or levels of vaccination. I strongly suggest, guys, whenever you can, whatever opportunities you have, pass this message on to everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shine.